Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Samuel Akem here, and I'm back with another one. I appreciate you guys for tapping into another Akem'S analysis. Akem'S analysis is brought to you proudly by Sportsbet Montana. Sportsbet Montana is the exclusive betting partner of Akem'S analysis and the Samuel Akem YouTube channel. They are also Montana's exclusive sportsbook for all your sports betting needs. Get tapped in with all the odds, spreads, or featured bets through Sportsbet Montana today. Your game, your bets, your state. Powered by the Montana Lottery. We have a phenomenal week in college football. Big time games taking place in the FCS, particularly in the Big Sky and the Missouri Valley. First things first, we got Montana versus Sac State. My goodness, the talking has been going wild this week, and I cannot wait to get into that game and talk about all of it. Next, we will talk about Montana State versus Cal Poly. Obviously, Cal Poly upset Sac State. Then they played Montana. They lost that game to Montana. Or they played UC Davis. They lost to UC Davis. Then they played Montana. They lost to Montana. Montana State is their next opponent. They've had a tough road, but they did get that upset win against Sac State. Next, we will talk about North Dakota State versus South Dakota State, the marker game, the biggest game of the season in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. It has a ton of playoff implications, a ton of Missouri Valley implications, all of it. Also, they're dealing with a quarterback injury. Coach Jackson has been kind of close to the vest with that information, so we'll talk about that game. UC Davis versus Northern Colorado. Do not sleep on the Northern Colorado Bears. I have officially joined the UNC bandwagon. We'll talk about that game. And then lastly, the last game we'll talk about in depth is South Dakota versus Illinois State. And then we got some no huddle notes at the end of the video. So not necessarily the end of the video, but the back half of the video, we got the no huddle notes. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for those. Most importantly, please hit that subscribe button. We are growing fast and furious, and I love all the support you guys have been giving me. So I appreciate you guys so much. I would not be doing this without you guys. So remember, your subscription, your comments, your views, they all mean the most to me because that's the whole reason I do this. So I appreciate you guys supporting me. I appreciate you guys showing love for the content that I provide. And let's keep it going. So hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Leave me a comment down below for what you thought, and we will get straight into it. Okay, the Panda Bowl is officially coming to Sacramento. Montana takes on Sacramento State, and obviously things got kicked off early in the week with Dr. Luke Wood making his comments about the Grizzlies during his halftime interview with, I can't even remember the gentleman's name who was the play-by-play broadcaster, but they interviewed Dr. Luke Wood after at halftime of their Northern Colorado game. Mind you, they were down in that game, but they interviewed Dr. Luke Wood, and, he mentioned that, the Montana Pandas, the Montana Grizzlies, and then he talked about, who's Montana played, which a lot of people got on him for that, but it's a valid concern outside of the North Dakota game. You look at a lot of Montana's schedule, which was the concern before the season. So he's not saying anything that people didn't know, but Montana necessarily hasn't played anybody. But for him to say that with Montana having a very, very strong ranked win on their schedule is a little crazy because North Dakota is a top 10 ranked team right now. Montana beat them, mind you, at home, but Montana beat them. That's a really big game. That's a really big victory. That's a ranked victory. A lot of teams are looking to get ranked victories on their schedule. As the season goes deeper, there's less and less ranked because, a team may have been ranked early on in the season and they're not necessarily ranked now. Like you look at the Idaho win against Montana, that's not necessarily a strong win for Montana, but very, very, very excited. The numbers tell an interesting story. First things first, Montana is number 71 in the country in sacks allowed. It's interesting when you're looking at the NCAA website because, wow, I think I put, anyway, sorry for that. It's interesting looking at the NCAA website because the way they look at sacks is they rank sacks based on sacks per game. So a lot of teams are tied, but Sac State leads the country in sacks. And Montana is near mid to bottom. I'd say near the bottom. Number 71, there's 126 teams in the FCS, so they're number 71 in the country in sacks allowed. I didn't put their exact number, but they're allowing 2.14 sacks per game. So, a team that rushes the passer at a high level, a team that doesn't necessarily protect the passer at a high level, there could be a strength there for Sac State. Another big strength for the Sac State team. They're the number 4 rushing team in the country. They're averaging 247 rushing yards a game, and that honestly seems wrong to me. So I'm going to look up the rushing numbers right now. I got the NCAA website pulled up. So I'm going to look up the rushing numbers just to confirm that number is correct, because I feel like I might have mistyped. No, that's right. Fourth in the country at 247 yards a game. That's really, really good. Really, really good. I mean, I think their last couple of games, their game against, gosh, I'm going blank. But their previous game before the Northern Colorado game, they rushed for 390. Weber State, they ran for 397. And then the week after that against Northern Colorado, I don't know exactly what they ran for, but that is what they do. I mean, if you go back and watch that Weber State game, it seemed almost like Sac State wasn't even concerned about the passing game. I think Cardell Williams had like 90 yards passing in that game, if that. So when you think about this Sac State team, and I don't want to say Sac State and Montana State, but, you know, Montana has had to face Montana State every year since their existence, or I don't know when both schools started playing football or whatever, but since both schools have had football, both schools have been playing against each other. I don't know. Somebody fact check that, because I don't know that to be fact. Either way, they've played for a long time, and in recent history, Montana State has been a very, very strong rushing team, and they're still looking to be that this year as well. Sac State, the way you used to look at beating Montana State was, hey, force Tommy Mellott to throw the ball, force the quarterback, if it's McKay, whoever it is, force them to throw the ball, take away the run, do not let them allow them to run the ball, make them one-dimensional. That is the game plan for this Sac State team. I think you load the box. I think you keep 7 to 8 in the box at all times. That may mean playing a lot more man coverage on the back end. I think Sac State has good receivers. They got one receiver whose name I'm going blank on, who I should have had pulled up in the first place. And I'm actually just going to pull up the Big Sky stats right now. But they have one really good receiver on their team who can get open, who can make things happen. Ernest Campbell is their number one receiver. He's got 375 receiving yards on the season, 4 touchdowns. He's a player, and I think he's a player that, you know, if put in one-on-one situations, he can take advantage of those. But I think that's really the play for this Montana team. I think you get in man coverage. I think you load the box. I think you stop the run. But on the other side of things, Sac State is no slouch offensively, particularly with the running game. The linebackers of Montana have to be dialed with their eye discipline. They have to be, you know, locked in. I think, you know, effort and I think pursuit is going to be a big thing for this Montana defense, because these guys break tackles, they run the ball. There's a lot of eye candy in the backfield with a lot of these triple option schemes. So you have to be able to corral the run game, because that is what they want to do. That is what they want to do. Cardell Williams can run the ball really well. Rodney Hammond Jr. can run the ball really well. Smith, their other running back, can run the ball really well. I mean, they do a phenomenal job at running the ball. So that's the key right there. That's the key right there. On the Montana side of things, numbers-wise, they have the number 93 passing defense in the country. Remember, there's 126 teams in the FCS, so number 93 passing defense is very, very weak. But that's not necessarily a problem for Montana, because on the other side of things, Sac State has the number 94 passing offense in the country. So, and if you've noticed, you know, previously in our previous videos, I was doing a lot of Big Sky stats, but, you know, they're so skewed now with some teams really, really high up in the country, some teams really bottom in the country. We got to go to the national numbers, and the national numbers definitely tell a story. But like I was saying, number 93 passing defense of Montana, the number 94 passing offense of Sac State, I don't think that's really going to be a problem. But also, Montana's got the number 55 rushing defense, and Sac State's got the number 4 rushing offense. So you know what they want to do. You know what the game plan needs to be. To give a little statistics about this Montana offense, who's been very, very high-powered. If we look at the defensive numbers of Sac State, they're the number 45 scoring defense, the number 78 rushing defense, and the number 56 passing defense. So I'd say middle of the pack in terms of their defensive numbers. And Montana is one of the top offenses in the country. They got the number 4 passing offense in the country. They got the number 8 scoring offense in the country, but the number 27 rushing offense in the country. So near the top 25, top 10 in their offense, scoring offense and passing offense, and top 30 in their rushing offense. But in all 7 games this season, the Montana offense has scored 40 plus in 5 of their 7 games this season. The 2 games that they did not score 40 was North Dakota, where they scored 24, and Cal Poly, where they scored 28. So a high-powered offense that can put points up on the board, that has a lot of weapons. I think they will need to be that this year. Montana has a top 5 offense in the country, and they also have a top 15 QB in the country. They need to play like it in this game to match the offense of Sac State. I think this is a game where we could potentially see a lot of points put up. Like, if the Montana defense isn't able to stop the run of Sac State, I think this becomes a game where Ayat and the Montana offense have to match that firepower. Now, if we see a game where the Montana offense can, or the Montana defense can stop the run game of Sac State, I think you put Cardell Williams and and Brennan Marion and all that staff offensively in a situation where they're trying to find a way to throw the ball downfield. So what I think the play for Sac State is get a lead, run the ball, run the clock out. I think that's the play for Sac State. For Montana, I think the play is get a lead, and force the Sac State. You got to put Sac State in a position where they have to pass the ball. So first things first, you got to be good on first down. If Sac State is able to run the ball for 4 or 5, 6 yards on first down, that's going to put Sac State in an advantageous situation for their offense. Like, if it's the same thing that I say with Montana State all the time. Montana State's going to get 5, 6 on first down running the ball. Then they're going to be in a second and medium. They might run the ball again. They might get another 3, 4. Then they're in a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. So when you're playing that way, your third down percentage is going to be extremely high. You're going to be extremely successful on early downs, and it's going to make it hard to get teams behind in the chains. You got to get this Sac State offense behind in the chains. But for the Sac State team, you have to play with a lead. You must play with a lead if you want to come out with a victory. Now, the one thing that they do have playing in their advantage is this game is being played in Sac State, so they'll have that home crowd behind them. This will be a big game for Montana, and particularly a big game because I don't know how many fans. I think Dr. Wood mentioned when he was talking about the Idaho State game, the one away game that Montana has played this season. They had about 7,600 fans there. So in terms of noise, in terms of generated noise from those fans, I don't know how loud it was for the Montana offense. I think this is a game now. They do have the track surrounding their football field, so how much is the sound effective? I think there's still going to be a significant amount of sound, but, given the way the stadium is constructed, how much does that sound play a part in the game? I think it'll still play a decent part, and that is going to be my point, is like, this is the first true... Well, Idaho State was a true road game, but this is the first road game where I think crowd noise could potentially become a factor. So I'll be keyed into seeing maybe if they go some silent count, maybe if, what that plays into everything. But, play with a lead if you're Montana, or play with a lead if you're Sac State. For Montana, get Sac State behind in the chains. You got to get them behind in the chains. You got to get them forcing to throw the ball. The way to beat this Sac State team is to make them throw the ball. That's not to say Cardell Williams can't throw the ball, because I've seen him throw the ball beautifully this season. But make him throw the ball. Make him be the one to beat you. Cardell Williams has to beat you with his arm if he's going to beat you. If you let them beat you on the ground, it'll be a long day for this Montana offense. So, Sac State takes on Montana. There's been a lot of talk. Coach Houck called the altercation in Sac State a riot. I will stand by the fact that it wasn't a riot. There's a few guys fighting, and yes, if you look at the definition of riot, it says 5 or 6 guys, or whatever you want to say about a riot. Let's be real, guys. It was not a riot, and maybe Coach Houck is trying to rage bait, but, the connotation that he was trying to make with that is incorrect, and I disagree with it. But, both people have been throwing shots back and forth. Both people have said what they said. We're going to get to see it play out on Friday night on ESPN2, so make sure you guys tune in. But Montana versus Sac State. Montana is only another thing. One more thing I want to talk about. We're coming up on our time. Montana is favored by 3.5 in this game. Now, Montana's undefeated. Sac State is 4-3. I don't know what these sports bookmakers know about Sac State and Montana, but clearly they think this is going to be a close game. Clearly the home field advantage, clearly maybe the animosity that's been seen in between the coaches and the presidents and whatever, like maybe that's playing into all of this, but what it's saying is this could be a really, really good game. So through Sportsbet Montana, they open up as a 3.5 favorite, and we'll see how that plays out on the field. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this Montana Sac State game down below, and I will move on. You've studied the playbook, memorized the stats, but are you ready for the biggest question of all? L&M Fine Jewelry has the perfect ring, the right advice, and the best prices in the Big Sky. When it's time to pop the question, run the winning play. Located on American Way in Missoula and Main Street in Kalispell, L&M Fine Jewelry is the official jeweler of Akem'S Analysis. They do a phenomenal job. Michael and Landy, the owners of the family-owned L&M Fine Jewelry. When you're looking for that special ring for that special person, let them take care of you. L&M Fine Jewelry, your diamond destination. Okay. I just want to say, Montana State facing Cal Poly. I do want to say I think Montana State opened up as a 16.5 point favorite over Cal Poly. That game is on the road. So clearly, when you look at the numbers of this Cal Poly team, they're not great defensively. And they're not even really great at running the ball. They're not good at stopping the run. They're definitely not good at stopping the pass. What they do well is they pass the ball. They got the number 14 passing offense in the country. That is the only statistic that they're top 15 in. Everything else, they're near the bottom half of the country statistically. So when you look at that, you understand why Montana State is favored by so much. But man, you look at this Cal Poly team, they have a ton of talent. I didn't even put their corner's name on here, but they got a really good young corner on their team. Mikey Diamato is a really good player. Kenny Olson. Mind you this, Cal Poly, their defense has the two leading tacklers in the Big Sky Conference, Mikey Diamato and Kenny Olson. So I don't know if that means that their front seven's not getting a lot of push up front. You know, the linebackers are having to make a lot of tackles. Maybe they just fly around. I mean, Diamato is a really good player. He flew around in the Montana game. He had about 12 tackles total. I think he only had like 4 or 5 solo. But, I mean, these guys fly around. They play at a high level. But I just don't know if they have the defensive firepower to stop this Montana State offense. Now, what I was going to say at the beginning is I said to Keenan a couple of weeks ago, I thought that this Cal Poly team was going to upset either UC Davis, Montana, or Montana State. They didn't upset UC Davis. They played them close, but they didn't upset them. They didn't upset Montana. Played them close, but Montana pulled away. And I don't know. It's looking slim for them to be able to upset Montana State. I wouldn't pick them if I was betting on this game. I wouldn't bet on Cal Poly, but I don't know. I said what I said, and we got one more week to see if it plays out. I don't have high hopes for them beating Montana State. Not that I'm hoping that they beat Montana State, but I just don't have high hopes for them beating Montana State. But I think there's a chance. What I put on here, Cal Poly struggles to run the ball, and MSU stops the run at a high level. This is a good matchup for the Bobcats. It really is. Montana State has the number 13 best scoring defense in the country, allowing 17.6 points per game. That's really, really good. And if you take that Oregon game out of it, it's even better. They have, in terms of defense, they got the number 55 passing defense. That's what Cal Poly could take advantage of, but the number 8 rushing defense. So they're allowing 99.6 yards per game. Anything under 100 rushing per game is really good in college football. And Cal Poly has the number 105 rushing offense. Remember, 126 teams in the country. They're 105 in rushing offense. So they're just not good at running the ball. I think it's going to be hard for Cal Poly to find any offensive success with the lack of success they have in the running game. I think Cal Poly, I can't remember exactly with the Montana game, but I think they were able to find a little bit of success on the ground against Montana. And I think that's what allowed them. I mean, they only scored 9 points, so I don't even want to say that allowed them anything. I mean, they struggle to run the ball. And if you can't run the ball, you are grass in any level of football. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to stay balanced. If you're a one-dimensional offense, teams can feast on that. This is a Montana State offense that isn't necessarily high in sacks. They're number 70 in the country in sacks, averaging 1.71 per game. But they have a lot of good pass rushers. Zach Cruz, Kenneth Iden. I think Kenneth Iden is near the top in the conference. And I can't remember what statistic it was, but let me look it up right now. Tackles for loss. Kenneth Iden's not up there. No, so Montana State can rush the passer. They have this Viper formation where they put a lot of pass rushers on the field. I mean, Paul Brock can even rush the passer as a D tackle. They have some good pass rushers on that team. I think statistically it hasn't necessarily shown up for this Montana State defense, but I think they have some really good pass rushers on this Montana State defense. So that is what I'll be looking for. Another thing, I mean, defensively, Montana State's really good. They got the number 5 third down defense in the country. Their defenses are converting 29% of their third downs against this team. And then you look at Cal Poly, they got the number 86 third down offense at 35%, and they got the number 74 third down defense at 42%. So, I mean, it doesn't look good for this Cal Poly team. Montana State's really good. They've had a week off. Justin Lamson's looked really good. Taco Dollars looked really good. Julius Davis and Adam Jones has looked really good. I mean, the run game for Montana State is getting better and better and better and better. And that should scare anybody in the country because, you know, they want to be more balanced this year. They want to pass the ball just as much as they run the ball. And I've really seen that in the numbers when you look at the numbers after any game. But the fact that their running game is improving should scare anybody. Because if their run game improves and they continue to be able to be successful in the passing game, now they're not the most prolific passing offense in the country. Montana State has the number 62 passing offense in the country, averaging 210 per game. And on the ground, they average 225. So nearly even on both numbers, but there's some real outliers in the passing offense in the country. So, but they're top 10 in rushing, they're top 10 in rushing defense, they're top 15 in scoring defense, they're top 25 in scoring offense. I mean, they're top 15 in third down offense, they're top 5 in third down defense. I mean, you gotta have a really good game to leave Montana State you have to have a really good game to play against this Montana State team and get a victory. It's just what it is. because they don't make a ton of mistakes. Special teams wise, it's still kind of up and down with this team. But in terms of just like their sheer play on the field, they're not going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to continuously move the ball. They're going to stop the run. They're going to make life hard for you on defense. For your offense, they're going to make life hard for your offense. And they just play together. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I don't know if I'd say Montana State covers the 16.5, and I don't know how much that line moves as we get closer to Saturday. But I would say take Montana State in this game. Cal Poly has the 84th best run defense. Oh, I already mentioned that. But yeah, the numbers aren't in the favor of Cal Poly. The numbers are not. I think the way you see this team win is, in terms of Cal Poly, is the same thing I said about, well, you can't really run the ball with this Cal Poly team. So even getting a lead, you're not secure. I don't know. I just think it's going to be hard for Cal Poly to squeeze out a win in this game. Without being able to run the ball at a high level. Now, that is an avenue. If Cal Poly is able to find some success in the run game and defy their averages from the season, their average of 109.7 for the season, I think you really got to have 150, 200 rushing yards in this game to really make it close for this Montana State team. But if Cal Poly is able to find some success on the ground, I think that's their avenue to really pushing Montana State to the limit. But I wouldn't put a lot of stock in Cal Poly, winning this game. And I'm not even trying to downplay Cal Poly. They're a good football team. They have good talent. They have a lot of talent on this Cal Poly team. And if I was this Cal Poly team, I would be nervous about the impending offseason because Mikey Diamato, that young corner, what is his name? Kenny Olsen. Michael Briscoe, I think, is a senior, so he's gone. But maybe some of they have weapons. They have weapons. And it just doesn't seem to be clicking right now with Cal Poly. They're good. They're talented, but they just can't put it together. And really that comes down to some of the margins, the run defense, the passing defense, the rushing offense. It's not there. So you guys let me know what you think about this Montana State versus Cal Poly game. Montana State is coming off a bye. They should be well rested and ready to dominate something. But Montana State has the 55th best passing defense. If Cal Poly can find a way to find success against the MSU secondary, that is the hope to stay in this game. And that's what I wanted to mention. The last thing before we get out of here, number 55 passing defense, allowing 211.9 yards per game for that Montana State defense. And like I said, Cal Poly has a top 15 passing offense, averaging 265.1 yards per game. If Cal Poly is able to hit some shots over the top to Michael Briscoe, if Michael Briscoe is able to find, his footing in this game and really able to hit some shots, if they're able to hit some shots over the top, despite the run game, I still think they can make this a tight game. But I think you have to have the run game for them to really be able to come out with the victory. I think you really have to have the run game, and that's what I'm sticking with. So you guys let me know what you think about this Cal Poly Montana State game down below, and I will move on. Okay. The Dakota marker game is finally here, and it's going to be an interesting one, man. I thought the two games that North Dakota State and South Dakota State played last year were some of the best games we saw all year. Now, for anybody who's like a offensive junkie, you probably didn't like those games, but they were really, really high-level defensive games, and I wouldn't doubt that we don't see that this year too. North Dakota State has the number 1 scoring defense. South Dakota State has the number 5 scoring defense. I think this is going to be a grinded out game where you're winning it in the margins. And that is where North Dakota State won this game last year. Both times was in the margins. Also, Bryce Lance, making plays. Cam Miller making throws. This game, both these games were really exciting. I loved watching both these games last year, and I cannot wait for this game this year. It's going to come down to offense. Obviously, the defenses are high-powered. The defenses can make stops. The defenses can stop the run. It's going to come down to the offense for me. Let's talk about the numbers. We got national numbers. We're not talking about conference numbers anymore. Number 1 scoring defense for North Dakota State. The number 5 rushing offense for North Dakota State. The number 1 passing defense for North Dakota State. And the number 4 third down offense. The number 4 third down offense at 53.4% for North Dakota State. The South Dakota State side of things, they're still high-powered, not as high on a lot of the numbers as North Dakota State, but they're up there. The number 5 scoring defense, the number 9 rushing defense, the number 21 passing defense, number 17 in sacks. North Dakota State's also number 10 in sacks. I didn't highlight all the numbers for North Dakota State because nearly everything outside of passing offense, North Dakota State is top 10 in the country, and sacks allowed, they're number 11 in the country. So, you look at this North Dakota State team, they do everything well. And I've said that all season, they do everything well. That's why I see it. That's why I have a hard time believing any team is going to be able to beat them. But I think South Dakota State has a chance because it starts with the defense with this South Dakota State team. They're good on offense. They can run the ball. Julius Loffridge is a good player. And Chase Mason is a good player if he plays in this game. But I think it starts with the defense. I think everything goes through this defense for the South Dakota State team. Wherever they go, it's going to be dictated by how well their defense is going to play. But they got the number 3 third down defense in the country. So you're going against the number 4 third down offense against the number 3 third down defense. I think that's a strength on strength third down. It's a big money down, being able to keep the chains moving, being able to, but also too, you got to be really good on first down. Both these teams are going to try to establish the run. Both these teams are going to try to grind it out. Both these teams want to get you behind in the chains. They want to get 5-6 on the ground on first down. So that opens up the entire playbook. Both teams have to be good at stopping the run on first down. Both teams got to get these guys behind in the chains. I think the health of Chase Mason is big in this game too. I don't know who the backup for South Dakota State is, but I think this is a tough game to ask any backup to come in and lead your team to victory. It's just a big ask. And I'm not even doubting the guy, whoever they have, who's going to come in and play if Chase Mason isn't able to play. I know Coach Jackson mentioned that Chase Mason is trying really hard to play in this game, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to. I don't know if he will. We haven't heard anything, and I think, like I mentioned in the lead up to the video, Coach Jackson is keeping things close to the vest. So he's not telling too much. He's not saying too much. This isn't the NFL where you got to release your injury report. So we will see. But I would pick North Dakota State in this game, but I think if Chase Mason isn't playing, that just strengthens it for me. I don't think there's a high chance that South Dakota State can win this game without Chase Mason. I think having that general of your offense, that guy who runs your offense, is just really, really important. I think it's really, really important. Let's see some of the notes I put in here. Where in SDSU struggles the most offensively is in their rushing offense, and NDSU has a top 10 rushing defense. Yes. So I didn't even mention this about South Dakota State, but South Dakota State nationally has the number 37 rushing offense. So they're good at running the ball. They're not great. There's 126 teams in the FCS, and they're number 37 in rushing offense. So they're not even top 30, not top 25, not top 2010, not top 10. So that tells me that at times they're not very good at running the ball. They're good at running the ball. They're not great. Against the lower competition in the FCS, they can run the ball really well. But if you run up against a good defense like Montana State, I think that's where their rushing offense can struggle. And I think this isn't a game where you need your rushing offense to struggle, because I think the rushing is ultimately going to be the difference in the game. But also their passing defense isn't great as well. They got the number 21 passing defense in the country. I mean, that's great. Top 25 in anything is great. So I don't want to say not great. But in terms of going against an opponent that does that, but that's probably the thing they have playing in their favor. The number 21 passing defense, and North Dakota State has a number 28 passing offense. So that's the thing that North Dakota State is the worst at, is passing offense. And it's crazy to say because they have Trey Lance. But I also think another reason why North Dakota State's statistic is there nationally is also because at times they don't need to pass the ball. They've beat up on a lot of teams. They can run the ball at a high level. They don't necessarily need to pass the ball all the time. The best thing about this SDSU team is its defense. They have the 5th best scoring defense in the country. They need to lean on that. SDSU has the 3rd best third down defense in the country. This is going to be a huge to ensure that they can get off the field consistently. Getting off the field, I mentioned it about any team. Get this North Dakota State team behind in the chains. Force Cole Payton to beat you with his arm. You got to force Cole Payton to beat you with his arm. And it's so hard too, because with this offense, not only can they beat you with Barika Pinu, not only can they beat you with, but they can also beat you with Cole Payton. Like, Cole Payton is a very effective runner of the football. He's a big body. He doesn't go down easily. That I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of quarterback run in this game as well against South Dakota State to kind of throw that defense off. But this is strength on strength. I mean, I'm talking about the numbers. The numbers are really good. They're really good at everything. Both these teams are really good at everything. They run the ball well. They pass the ball well. They stop the run. They stop the pass. I mean, they're good. They're top 25 in nearly everything. The only things that South Dakota State isn't top 25 in is rushing offense. They're number 37. Passing offense, they're number 40. I think a lot of that has to do with, I don't want to say a lot of it, but Lofton Ogroski was hurt for a minute. He's the number 1 receiver. I think that played into, some of the struggles they saw passing the ball as well. But they got the number 71. They're number 71 in the country in sacks. They're allowing 2.14 sacks per game. And then and that was kind of surprising. When I saw that, and I looked at his sack number as well. Chase Mason has been brought down a lot in terms of getting sacked a lot. Last week, I think they had like 15 or 16 sacks on the season. I don't know if they were sacked at all in the previous game against Murray State. But that's something to pay attention to. Because North Dakota State is the number 10 in sacks at 2.86 sacks per game. So they can get to the passer. They can rush the passer. And if South Dakota State isn't able to give time, especially if you're dealing with a backup quarterback, I just have a hard time believing if South Dakota State is going to have a backup quarterback that they're going to have a high level of success. You're going against a high level defense that flies around, plays with a ton of effort. If you don't have your general, your floor general, I call it floor general, that's a basketball term. But if you don't have your general out there who can really run things and really put guys in the right position and make the throws and knows how these checks should go. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in these games. There's a lot of game planning that takes place. And if you don't have a guy back there that really is confident in what he's doing, this could be a game where things spiral. So pay attention to that quarterback position. And then lastly, they're number 57 and third down offense at nearly 40%, 39.8% on third down. So you got to keep the chains moving. You got to keep the chains moving. I mentioned, I didn't even mention this, but North Dakota State is the number 9 third down defense. So, this is going to be a good game. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I think defense, I think we're going to see I think a lot of it depends on Chase Mason playing, but I think Chase Mason is not on defense. So I think we're going to see a game where we see 20 to 14 is the final score. I mean, the last games last year, what was it? 13 to 10 or 17 to 10. And then the playoff game was 21 to 14. I mean, there was not a ton of points put up in either of these games. So I think we're going to see something similar to that. I'm excited. You guys should be excited too. Let me know what you guys think about this game in the comments section down below. Who do you guys got winning this game? What do you guys think ends up being the difference in this game? Let me know in the comments down below and I will move on. Okay, UC Davis versus Northern Colorado. I said to Keenan last week, I think Northern Colorado is going to beat one of the big three in the Big Sky Conference. I know I said this about Cal Poly. Or actually, I don't think Northern Colorado doesn't play Montana this year. I don't think. But they do play UC Davis and they do play Montana State. And I said that I believe Northern Colorado could beat one of these teams. I truly do believe Northern Colorado could beat Montana State or UC Davis. The reason I say that is particularly against this UC Davis. I don't know if I'd put a lot of stock in Northern Colorado being able to beat Montana State, just because how good defensively they are in all facets. The thing they're worst at is the passing defense. But UC Davis defensively, I've talked about it throughout the season. I hadn't even looked at the national numbers when I was really having this conversation. It was really when I was looking at the conference numbers and just watching them. You know, you watch these teams, you can see. I think Rex Connors plays a piece in this, but I think it goes back to what I saw in Mercer game and early on in the season when I saw this team. They're just not sound defensively at all times. I think there's moments where this defense, I mean, and it's any team like Montana, you talk about the defense, they're not sound at times, but then at times you're like, man, they're constricting everything. And I'd say the same thing, even maybe from a more drastic standpoint for this UC Davis defense, they're just very inconsistent. The number 90 scoring defense, they're allowing 31.8 points per game. Now, understand that they played Washington. I think Washington put up 70 against them. So understand when you're looking at some of these numbers, it's heavily skewed by some of these FBS opponents. But the number 90 scoring defense in the country, the number 81 rushing defense in the country, the number 110 passing defense in the country, allowing 263.8 yards per game. They're the number one, and this is crazy to me. This is offensive, but they're 117 in sacks allowed. Now, I don't know how much of that is from, I don't know how many sacks Washington had on them, but the number 117 in sacks allowed at 3.17 sacks per game. And it's crazy to think about too, because they have Caden Pinnock, who's very mobile. He can move around. It's crazy to think that and then this is the craziest piece to me. And I think this number is heavily skewed by their UW opponent, but number 122, 126 teams in the FCS. They're number 122 in the country in third down defense, allowing teams to convert 51.6% of their third downs. That is staggering. Absolutely staggering. So, I don't know. I think from that standpoint, given that I think UC Davis is a little inconsistent defensively. I mean, teams have been able to put up points on them. They've obviously outscored them. They got the number 20 scoring offense, averaging 34 points a game. So UC Davis isn't a slouch offensively, but there have been teams that put up 20, 30. I don't know if anybody put up 40, but teams have put up points on them. So, and from that standpoint, UNC, Northern Colorado, they can move the ball offensively. Now, their rushing offense isn't great. They don't run the ball at a high level, and defensively, they don't stop the run. And that is ultimately what hurts this Northern Colorado team is they just can't run the ball. They got the number 94 rushing offense in the country, averaging 123.9 yards per game. I mean, and you watch them, it's just, they're launching it. They're launching it to Carver Cheeks. They're launching it to Braden Monroe. That's their offense. If they don't have a passing offense, they don't have anything. And I think that's the key for UC Davis is given that Northern Colorado doesn't run the ball at a high level, you got to stop these receivers. Double team Carver Cheeks. I don't care. Double team, three double cloud the whole game and just rally to the run. I mean, stop Braden Monroe, stop Carver Cheeks. Carver Cheeks had 220 last week against Sac State. You stop that passing offense. You stop Eric Gibson Jr. I think you really stop this Northern Colorado offense because they just can't run the ball. You stop the run. I don't think you need to load the box to stop the run against this team because they're not a high level running offense. But stop the run and not stop the run, stop the pass, and you stop this Northern Colorado team. I think that's really the key for UC Davis. But on the Northern Colorado side of things, if you can really get up and down the field on this UC Davis defense, you can make life hard for UC Davis. You can make life really, really hard for them. And I think the play for Northern Colorado, just like any team, Northern Colorado's got to play with the lead. They got to play with the lead. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And I think I put that in my notes. But I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think we're going to see both teams going up and down the field. I think we're going to see both teams trading blows. I think it's going to be haymaker after haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. And I think whatever defense is able to get a stop, I think it's going to be similar to the Sac State game. I think whatever defense is able to get a stop, that's ultimately who we're going to look at and be like, oh yeah, that's why they won the game, is because they were able to get a stop. Northern Colorado has the 10th best passing offense in the country. They got the number 17 passing defense in the country. So Northern Colorado does not stop the run at a high level. They got the number 112 rushing defense in the country. Sac State ran for 300 on them last week. You had LJ Phillips who ran for 300 on them. One player ran for 300 on them earlier in the season. I mean, they don't stop the run at a high level, but they are decently good at stopping the pass. Now, maybe that number is what it is because teams is like, we don't need to pass the ball. We're going to rush for 300. We don't need to pass the ball. I mean, when you play Sac State, who's not making a concerted effort all the time to pass the ball, South Dakota wants to run the ball at a high level, LJ Phillips. One thing Northern Colorado has in their favor, they throw the ball a lot. They protect the passer at a high level. They're number 8 in the country in sacks allowed. They average under a sack a game. And then they got the number 10 passing offense. So they're really high-powered passing offense. And UC Davis has 110 passing defense in the country. So strength on weakness for Northern Colorado, but there's a lot of strengths on the weaknesses of Northern Colorado. There's a lot of strengths for UC Davis on the weaknesses of Northern Colorado. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a very exciting game. I think we see a lot of points put up in this game. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where, whoever has the ball last is ultimately going to win this game. I think whoever has the ball last is going to win this game, but I'm excited nonetheless. UC Davis has really struggled defensively, and that could be what allows UNC to stay in this game. I think that's the biggest point. UC Davis is obviously the better team. They've played better throughout the season. They have the better record. They have more ranked wins. But if UC Davis isn't able to get stops, if UC Davis struggles, we may see an upset. So pay attention and be tapped into this game because I think it's going to be very exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of points. So you guys let me know what you think about both teams. What do you guys think about this game coming up this weekend? Let me know down below and I will move on. Okay, the last game I want to talk about is South Dakota versus Illinois State. South Dakota has, they're ranked now and they're coming up. I believe they're coming up in the polls and they've been playing better and better, but they lost. They just started the season out ugly, man. They started the season out ugly. I think they've already had a loss to North Dakota State as well. Let me look up South Dakota's schedule real quick. But I think they lost to North Dakota State. They lost to North Dakota State 51-13. They have victories against Northern Colorado, Drake. But they lost 2 games earlier in the season. They lost to Iowa State and they lost to Lamar. But they've they've won 3 straight. They've won 5 of their last 6. So South Dakota necessarily isn't like, they're playing decent football. They're running the ball pretty well. LJ Phillips is a very, very good player. I just find it crazy that Charles Pierre, who he is, Charles Pierre Jr. is the player that he is. And you had LJ Phillips sitting behind him. Like, what? Who does that? Not saying that LJ Phillips is better than Charles Pierre. I'm just saying, you have 2 really productive runners in the same offense, and it's not surprising because South Dakota had it last year. You had Charles Pierre and you had Travis Tice. I mean, 2 really good running backs last year too. So maybe it's just the culture of South Dakota. Maybe they're able to recruit running backs. I don't know how they're able to recruit running backs. I mean, you're in the Missouri Valley. You got to run the ball in the Missouri Valley. You got to stop the run in the Missouri Valley. That's what it breaks down to. South Dakota wants to run the ball, and they are not great at passing it. 102nd best passing offense. ISU is decent at stopping the run, but cannot stop the pass. They have the 119th best passing defense in the country. There's some strength on weakness for both these teams. But really, it boils down to the run game for South Dakota. And I don't really know what Illinois State does well. They're not really top 25 in anything. They're top 25 in sacks allowed. But like offensively and defensively, I don't think this Illinois State team is very strong either on either side of the ball. I really don't. And I really like South Dakota in this game, particularly because how well they can run the ball. And, Illinois State has a middle of the pack rushing defense at number 45 rushing defense in the country. So I really, really like South Dakota in this game. But if Illinois State can somehow find a way to stop the run, put the game in Aiden Bauman's hands, I think they have a chance. But South Dakota, they're just, neither of these teams have really looked great this season. They've looked good, not great. And really, when you look at let me go home right here and look at where Illinois State is 3-3. They're 0-2 in conference play. South Dakota, on the other hand, is 5-3, 3-1 in conference play. So, like I said, South Dakota has started to get hot. They still have games against North Dakota, South Dakota State, and Southern Illinois. The end of their schedule, South Dakota, oh my goodness. Their strength of schedule has to be one of the toughest in the country. But I like South Dakota in this game. I think this is an opportunity for South Dakota to right their wrongs from the early part of the season and really get a statement win on the season. Now, how much of a statement is beating Illinois State to this up to this point? I don't know if it's a huge statement, but I think if South Dakota can really, beat up on Illinois State, really run the ball at a high level, really win by 2-3 scores, I think that'll say something about this team. I think that'll tell you that they're a playoff team. I think that'll tell you that they can potentially make like a quarterfinal. I don't see South Dakota. South Dakota's not a contender this year. Defensively, they just don't hold up defensively. And even offensively, they don't have enough offensively. I think they lack talent. They lost a lot of talent last year. Travis Tice, they lost Carter Bell. I believe they lost another receiver on the outside as well. Karan Adams, they lost him as well. So I just think offensive firepower wise, South Dakota's not going to be able to threaten some of the best contenders in the country. But I think in this game right now, South Dakota can make a big statement, get to 6 and what did I just say? Are they 5-3? Yeah, 5-3. So they can get to 6-3. And South Dakota even had a bye. Have they played every week so far? They don't have dates on here, of course. Either way, this could be a statement win for South Dakota. I like South Dakota in this game. I don't think Illinois State has a high chance to win this game. I think the chance that they have is if they're able to really explode offensively. If they're able to explode offensively, and if LJ Phillips in the rushing offense in South Dakota has an off day, I think that's the chance for Illinois State. But I like South Dakota. I really like South Dakota in this game. And I think I said this about the Northern Colorado UC Davis game, but I'm going to say it about this game too. I think this game has the chance to be a high-level, high-scoring game. I think this has a chance to be a high-scoring game. You think about this ISU defense. Last week, they allowed Bo Brungard of Youngstown State to rush for 200 yards. 30 carries, 200 yards from a quarterback. That is troublesome if you're coming against this South Dakota team who has a running back who's rushed for 240 in one game and 300 in another game. Hello? What do we think? Are we serious? Let me see. Am I right about that? Yeah, LJ Phillips had 240 a couple weeks. Yeah, he had 240 against Murray State. He had 300 against Northern Colorado. And then a couple of weeks ago, he had 187 against Indiana State. I will say, against some of the tougher competition, he not to say he disappears, but 49, that's Pierre, 60 against Lamar. He wasn't even their leading rusher against North Dakota State. And then last week against Northern Illinois, who I'm not saying is like high-level competition, but he only had 73 last week. Now, they probably didn't need to. They only won that game 17-14? What? Oh, my gosh. Okay. This is interesting. I still like South Dakota in this game because of what I've seen from Illinois State. Even when they were going against North Dakota State, I thought that was going to be a blowout. It ended up not being a blowout, but I really like South Dakota in this game. It's going to take South Dakota or Illinois State winning this game to prove me wrong. They have to show me. You have to show me because you played North Dakota State, you lost. You played Youngstown State, who I would say, I don't even know if I would say they're better than them, but you play Youngstown State and you lost as well. So, a team that started the season off ranked, a team that started the season off ranked decently high, and they're just starting to. It seems like they're starting to slide. I think they're gonna have trouble. But when you look at the numbers for either of these teams, neither of these teams are super strong in anything. So South Dakota Illinois State. I like South Dakota. The numbers are not strong from either, but I think the numbers favor South Dakota. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments down below, and I will move on. Okay, it is time for some no huddle notes. This is the part of the show where we briefly cover some other topics going on in the FCS. We're not going to cover the game and cover the numbers of each team and everything like that, but we are going to mention these games and talk about some of the storylines that should be talked about for these games. So number one, we got Northern Arizona facing off against the high-powered Idaho State offense. This will be a high-scoring game. I can almost guarantee that this will be a 30-40 point game from each team. I think each team is going to put up points. Now, if Northern Arizona can find a way to stop the Idaho State offense, if somehow they can defy the odds and be similar to Montana State and stop this offense, I think we see something. But even against Montana State, this Idaho State offense had 300 yards of offense, and one receiver had like 170 through the air. Nunley had like 170 through the air. So, I mean, not 300. Jordan Cook, I think, still threw for 300. I think they still had like 300, 400 yards of offense. They just weren't able to get into the end zone. But I like NAU in this game, but I think it's going to be high scoring. NAU should win this game, but Idaho State hasn't been an easy out for anybody. But if NAU wants to still keep their potential, I think they could still maybe make the playoffs. If they want to keep any hope of that alive, you got to win this game. You have to win this game. Next, is Tennessee Tech the real deal? I had somebody comment on my video. I appreciate you for commenting. First of all, thank you for watching the channel. I appreciate you a ton. I wouldn't be doing this without you. So first off, thank you for watching the video. But they commented under my video and said, why don't you talk about Tennessee Tech? And you're right. I should talk about an undefeated team in the FCS. I should talk about one of the top teams in the FCS. I think they're a top 10 ranked team. They're 7-0. They're averaging 50 points a game. They got the number one scoring offense in the country. I damn well should be talking about this Tennessee Tech team, and you are right. But are they the real deal? Like, let me look up their schedule. I had it pulled up, and I got some numbers I'll mention. But I want to pull up their schedule real quick and talk about, my brother, they haven't played anybody. They beat Cumberland, Tennessee. I think that's like an NAIA D2. They beat Chattanooga 45-17. They beat Davidson 72-14. They beat Tennessee State 35-8. They beat Western Illinois 66-20. They beat Charleston Southern, weirdly, 27-13. That's the only game they've scored 20 points in. And then they beat Lindenwood 52-28. So, this is a team that has just absolutely blown people out of the water. And I don't know if it's just because they're not taking their foot off the gas, if they're not taking their starters out, but they are putting up points. And, they got my attention. I admit it. They got my attention. I'm paying attention. But damn, man, their schedule is crazy. Who else do they have throughout this season? They got Southeast Missouri State, who I don't think that might be a decent game, but I don't think they're going to be able to challenge them. Gardner-Webb is a good game, and that's going to be a decent game to pay attention to. Gardner-Webb is probably the second best team in that OVC outside of Tennessee Tech. They got Eastern Illinois, then they got Kentucky, and then they got UT Martin. This is just a team that we're not really going to see truly get tested until the playoffs. They may end up being a top 8 seed. They're probably going to end up being a top 8 seed, and we won't know who they are. We won't know anything about this team until the playoffs. I relate it to the Rhode Island team from last year. They were undefeated, but when you look at their schedule, you're like, nah. The thing that I think plays in Tennessee Tech's favor is they have absolutely dominated people. And that's the thing they can hang their hat on, is they have absolutely dominated people. Tennessee Tech has scored 50 plus in 4 of their 7 games this season. That is crazy. Any offense averaging 50 points a game, they're doing something right. And I've mentioned Kakoa Vispris is a dog. And I mentioned it when he was in the Big Sky Conference. I said, this guy's so accurate. He rarely misses. When he does miss, it's rarely on him. Either the receiver dropped it, it was good coverage, or he's accurate. And Kakoa Vispris is a great player. I was mad to see him leave Eastern Washington, but I'm not surprised. Eastern Washington is not a great team right now. Why would you, if you're somebody like Kakoa Vispris, why would you stay at Eastern Washington? Why? I wouldn't. So not surprised to see him leave. This offense is averaging 50 points a game. They're super explosive. How much of that is real explosiveness, and how much is that of their comp level? That's my question. So for the listener, the watcher who mentioned Tennessee Tech, I gave Tennessee Tech their couple minutes of shine, and I'm paying attention. I'm watching. So we will see, and we'll move on. Presbyterian takes on Dayton in big Pioneer League game. So this is probably the first test that Presbyterian will have in the Pioneer League this year. Football schedule. Sorry, I gotta voice what I'm typing sometimes. You guys know how it goes. But Presbyterians look good. Defensively, Presbyterian has looked great. 10 points to Mercer, 38 to Furman, 14 to Esquire. I don't know who the hell that is. Bluefield University, they scored 3. Morehead State scored 0. Butler scored 25. That was their biggest test so far this season. And then Stetson put up 7. So, I mean, defensively, this is a team that is sound. They're playing at a high level. They've been able to hold people down. I think Dayton is their next test. I like Presbyterian in this game, but Dayton is most certainly this test. Both of these teams are looking for the Pioneer League AQ, and this game will be something that decides that. This ultimately isn't the ultimate decider of the Pioneer League AQ, but both teams are going to vie for it. I think Dayton is let me see. I think Dayton is 3-1 in conference play. They are, and Presbyterian's 3-0 in conference play, leading the Pioneer League at 7-0. So we will see. Presbyterians look great. They're moving up in the rankings, but this could be another statement win for Presbyterian. So pay attention. That's a good game to pay attention to this week. I think that could be a good game this weekend as well. 5-0 Harvard plays 3-2 Princeton in big time Ivy League game. Obviously, Harvard is moving up the rankings fast ever since they started playing. They're 5-0. They're playing really, really good defense. Teams just can't. I mean, I don't know if anybody. Let me look it up real quick. But I don't know if anybody has challenged this Harvard team yet this season. They beat Stetson 59-7 to start their season. They beat Brown 41-7. Mind you, that's a Brown team that then turned around and beat a ranked Rhode Island. Harvard beat them 41-7. Yes. They beat Holy Cross 59-24 out of the Patriot. They beat Cornell 31-10. And then they beat Merrimack 31-7. Now, a lot of people might look at those opponents and say, of course they beat those teams by that. And I agree. Yes, of course they beat those teams by that. This is another team where we're going to be waiting until the playoffs. And if and when they get that Ivy League AQ, it's going to be like, okay, now's the opportunity. Because I really want to see Harvard play like a North Dakota. I want to see them play a South Dakota State. I want to see them play a Montana State. Like, that's where I want to see Harvard at. But they play Princeton. This is the next big test for them. I think this will be the biggest test for them yet this season. But they have another opportunity to make a statement win in this game. I mean, if Harvard beats up on Princeton, it's going to be time to have some real conversations. 6-0 with a bunch of dominant wins. Princeton is no slouch, and they're a formidable opponent. So we will see. But I think this will be the toughest game, and then I think the next toughest game for Harvard going forward will be Yale. Yale and Penn. They'll play Penn later on in the season, and then they play Yale. So those are going to be, I mean, Princeton, Yale, and what am I talking about? Princeton, Yale, and Penn are going to be the 3 tough games for this Harvard game, for this Harvard team this season. This is just the next one. So we will see. You guys let me know what you think about that. But moving on, we're then going to talk about Penn and Yale. UPenn is 4-1. Yale is 3-2. It's going to be another big time Ivy League game, something that potentially is going to play a part in deciding that Ivy League. If we look at the records in the Ivy League, Harvard's 5-0, 2-0 in conference play. Pennsylvania is 4-1, 2-0 in conference play. Princeton is 3-2, 2-0 in conference play. And then Dartmouth's 4-1, 1-1 in conference play. And Yale is 3-2, 1-1 in conference play. Harvard actually also plays Dartmouth this season too. So there's a lot of battling going on in this Ivy League. I'm just going to merge this whole conversation together, but the thick of the Ivy League season is starting, and that's really the main part of this. The part of this conversation is the thick of the Ivy League schedule is starting. So obviously Harvard is the team that you look at right now and you think they're 5-0. They beat up on everybody. They look like they're going to run away with that Ivy League AQ. Not so fast. You got Dartmouth. They still got to play Dartmouth. That's the one thing I love about this Ivy League is everybody plays everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 teams in the conference. Everybody has to play everybody. They already played Brown. I'm talking about Harvard. They played Cornell. They played Princeton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Everybody has to play everybody. And I like that about the Ivy League. I wish all conferences were like that. Unfortunately, some of them are so big they can't. Missouri Valley, Big Sky, CAA. Not everybody gets to play everybody, and it's just the nature of some of these conferences. But I love how the Ivy League is going to get to play everybody in the Ivy League plays everybody. So there's going to be some beating up of each other as we go through. If Harvard is able to run through that schedule and really come out clean, I think that's where they're at. But if they're not, I don't know. There's some conversations to be had. But Penn and Yale play. Penn's 4-1, Yale's 3-2. I'm not sure if the Ivy League can or will get two teams in the playoffs, but I think Penn or Dartmouth, to add Dartmouth to that conversation, could potentially be another Ivy League team to make it. The one thing that I think hurts the Ivy League, any Ivy League team, unless you're getting that automatic qualifying bid, is you're only playing 10 games. So when you're looking at teams who are playing 11, talking about UC Davis and most of the FCS teams who are playing 12 this season, you're just starting from a deficit. So you're never going to be able to catch up. And I think that's ultimately going to hurt the Ivy League in terms of potentially getting two teams in. I don't know if they even can or will get two teams in. But I think if you get a team that's like 10-0, Harvard, and then you got a 9-1 team, I don't know. Maybe that changes the conversation. Or maybe if you have two 9-1 Ivy League teams, I mean, maybe that changes the conversation. I don't know. We'll see. You can't have a 10-0, 9-1 team because Harvard's obviously 10-0 and they're going to play everybody. There's already teams in the Ivy League with one loss. So at best, you have a 10-0 Harvard with an 8-2 Penn or an 8-2 Dartmouth, or Penn somebody beats Harvard. You got two 9-1 teams coming out, tying for the Ivy League title, and ultimately it's going to come down to a tiebreaker at that point, which will still only get one team in, which is going to be tough to leave another team out. So hopefully one of those teams that get left out, if there is a tie-breaking situation, they can get an at-large bid. Is that the right terminology? An at-large bid? I hope. But either way, Ivy League play is getting thick. It's getting exciting. So be paying attention for that. Okay, that's going to conclude No Huddle Notes for this week. Tell me what you think about some of those topics that I talked about, and we will move on. Okay, I want to thank you guys for tapping into the channel this week. I want to thank you guys for tapping into another preview video of mine. I thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. This video has been brought to you by Sports Bet Montana, the exclusive sports betting partner of Akem'S Analysis. Sports Bet Montana is the exclusive betting partner of Akem'S Analysis and the Samuel Akem YouTube channel. They're also Montana's exclusive sportsbook for all your sports betting needs. Get tapped in with all the odds, spreads, or featured bets through Sports Bet Montana today. Your bets, your state, your game, powered by the Montana Lottery. Thank you guys for tapping into the channel. I appreciate you guys. Tune in next week. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.